Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the long-awaited 3-block Bookskip tutorial. Sorry, immediate problem with my throat. This is going to be a different tutorial than most in that it is actually, like, execution-wise, not a very difficult thing to do, necessarily. It's mostly about using your brain and figuring out how to adequately put together 3 blocks into a position advantageously to perform Bookskip in Spelunky HD. I'm not going to explain too much, just long story short, what's Bookskip? If Olmec stomps on the hell door, he breaks the hell door, right? But you can't stomp the hell door because it's not a tangible tile. So if you create a push block stack and put it on the spot that the hell door is at, and then Olmec stomps that, his stomp will also hit the hell door because it'll notice that it's in the set of, like, the region of tiles that he's qualified to stomp. That opens up the hell door without needing the Book of the Dead. Any other details you want to know for a different video? This is for how to do 3-block Bookskip. So there's sort of 3 steps that we're going to follow. This is sort of an accompaniment to a guide I'm creating on Moss Ranking that you can look at if you would like some reference images and text. So the first part of Bookskip is scouting. When you start the fight, the first thing that you want to do is to get Olmec to stomp twice, move him out of the way. If you're going fast, you can try and scout quickly, but, you know, this is just to get your first Bookskip done. So once you've stomped down 2 tiles, you can look down and you will be able to see the hell door in whatever location it is. Now, sometimes you will not be able to see the hell door from this position. Very rarely that can mean it's all the way to the left. Usually it means it's somewhere in this right area. For this example, we do have the hell door very advantageously kind of right beneath us, and we have some conspicuous looking push blocks that I'm going to confess did not naturally generate, but are suspiciously similar to the guide that we used. When it comes to choosing your push blocks, it is tempting perhaps to want to utilize push blocks like this one right down here, because if you think about it, like, okay, I need the push block to be on the hell door at the end. Wouldn't I want a push block that's already as close as it can be to the hell door? Which is a nice and natural thought, but unintuitively will make your life a lot harder, because to dig down far enough to be able to move this push block, you need to dig all of the terrain in this entire region that I'm moving my cursor around to be able to move that push block. And that means you're digging Olmec all the way down to the second layer. You don't need to do that, really. Obviously, at the end, you're going to dig Olmec down to the second to last layer here. But for getting your push blocks in position, you actually only need to dig down to, like, as far as here, right? You don't really want Olmec going deeper than this if you don't need to until the ending, because then you need to do many, many additional stomps. So, in this example, the very conspicuous 3 push blocks here are the ones that we're going to be using, because they're kind of in a convenient location that is right around the middle of the arena, meaning that we don't have to, for example, if we used a push block on the first layer, push it down, then have Olmec stomp, push it down, then have Olmec stomp, push it down, and do that repeatedly. By these being right here, we don't need to move them down and around much at all. So we're going to go ahead and use those 3 push blocks, this guy, and this guy, to be able to reach the hell door down there. And that's the part where we've scouted successfully. Now we're going to start stomping to get to these push blocks and start putting them together. So first and foremost, we just need to create a wide open area to be able to work with. So you want to make sure that with pretty much every stomp you're doing, you're getting as much value out of it as you can. I see a lot of people just kind of stomp 1 tile at a time sometimes, and I know they're not specifically intending to do that, but you want to avoid that as much as you can. Every stomp is a chance for enemies to spawn, so if you're making sure that your stomps are destroying the maximum number of tiles that they reasonably can, you're going to save yourself a lot of potential heartache with enemy spawns that you really don't want anything to do with. So we're going to continue opening up an area. And the goal is to create areas sort of around the push block. So I'm going to move Olmec out of the way now and sort of show you why I did and, like, where I ended the stomps. So you want to look at your push blocks and sort of figure out the leftmost and rightmost positions. So this is the leftmost push block in the group of 3 that we're using. You can see that I created a gap of 5 tiles here. Now, I have 2 options to be able to keep the Olmec fight stable. One thing that you really want to avoid is you don't want a 3-tile tall wall. because Olmec can only get over those walls if he has a slight, like, adjustment over. If he's flush with the wall, he can't go over 3 tiles, and that's going to be brought up later in the shape of the push blocks that we use. So you want to either A, do a 4-tile stomp here to specifically expose the left side of this push block while also not making a 3-tile wall, or alternatively, and I would recommend this for people who are not comfortable with Olmec as much, just get him to stomp here to make sure that this wall doesn't end up being 3 tiles tall. Now I can do a 5-tile stomp there, which is much less specific, right? Much easier to perform. So now we have the left edge of that push block exposed. We can now push it if, for example, we get rid of these tiles over here. So that's what we're going to do next. And now we want to get him to break these tiles over here, because like I mentioned, you want to find your leftmost push block. You also want to find your rightmost push block and create enough space for that one. So now, because we opened up this wide area, we have enough space to do a 5-tile stomp here to open up this push block. Now, a lot of people will, at this point, push their push block over, and for the sake of creating the structure that we want to make later, they'll actually like push it slightly over here. I would recommend not doing this right now. Instead, you can move it nearby, but keep it on the left and then bring Olmec over and have Olmec stomp this area first. The reason why I suggest that is that it makes that stomp much easier and less stressful, and it ultimately makes no difference because now you can still push this block slightly over here. Obviously you can't push it back, but you're not going to. So I would recommend doing the stomp first and then pushing the block over, just to make it so you don't accidentally panic and destroy the push block when you're trying to stomp down nearby. Now we want to unearth the space for this 3rd push block. So we'll stomp here and over here. And then right here to expose the left side of this push block. Once again, I recommend just stomping first before moving the other push blocks over. We'll move Olmec out of the way, and then we'll push these blocks over. So now, let me discuss the shape of the stack that we've got going on here, because it seems a little bit peculiar, and I think naturally a lot of people would default to creating just as flat and straight of a stack of push blocks as you can. There's 2 reasons why that's bad. Number 1, this game is programmed delicately, let's say. If you have a perfectly flat stack of 3 push blocks and you push it off an edge, the center push block will be destroyed in the process of doing that. I can't tell you why. I'm sure it's just the collision engine having a bit of a fit trying to process everything. But that is an issue. So you very deliberately want to make sure that your push blocks are not perfectly stacked on top of each other, because that will prevent that from happening. Now, why exactly do we have the shape like this? We refer to this as EDX. If you look at your keyboard, you'll see why, at least if you're on a QWERTY keyboard. In this case, it's horizontally flipped, but it's an EDX shape. The reason behind this is going to become apparent if I do the next couple of stomps. It's basically allows you and Olmec to be able to navigate past this push block stack at all times. Because like I said earlier, Olmec does not like 3-tile high walls, and that EDX stack, it's a stack of 3 push blocks, right? So he needs to be able to get over that if you're going to be able to cleanly do Bookskip, and you also need to be able to get over it too. So you can see that this shape allows you to climb it from both sides. From the left, you just ledge grab here and climb up. From the right, you get on this block, ledge grab and climb up. Olmec, on the other hand, a lot of times he will, like I mentioned, he can get up 3 blocks. If he jumps from, say, here, he will immediately jump up onto the top, but if he doesn't, if he's jumping from like right here, he'll nudge up against this edge and then climb up here. Or if he's from this side, he'll nudge up against this edge and then climb up. So he's kind of just like you, for real, for real. So now we have our EDX set of blocks. We've done the majority of our stomping. Now we want to set up the skip. Another mistake that I see people make is at the ending of their Olmec fight, they do like a lot of additional stomping to create like a large open area here at the ending to be able to create space to get to the hell door, but that's largely unnecessary. In this example, we could even be a set of blocks higher and do what I'm about to do, but I'm going to show you the easiest way to set up for the final stomp. We actually only need to do 3 additional stomps and the fight is over. So let's bring Olmec over. And essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to do what I frequently refer to as 2 5 stomps and 2 4 stomps, right? In this case, we're not going to do the second 4 stomp. We can break this set of 5 tiles twice, and then this set of 4 tiles And then Olmec, while he can't jump up to the right at that point because there will be a 3-tile wall, and I'll actually just show this in real time because I think it'll be a bit easier to see what's going on. So 5-tile stomp, 5-tile stomp, move over here, 4-tile stomp. Now Olmec, once again, can't climb up this 3-tile wall, and if you could imagine for a second that I did another stomp down and he was jumping, that would be a 4-tile wall. That might seem like a huge issue for Olmec. But because of the fact that we did a set of 5s first, he can just move out like that and then cross the gap like that. So Olmec is still perfectly capable of maneuvering that area as long as you do it like that. Now, there is one thing that's really important and something I recently forgot about, embarrassingly, on stream. When you do these final stomps, a set of 5 and a set of 4, you need to make sure that the sheer wall, which is on this side, is on the same side as your push block. If you could imagine that there was one extra tile here, and we tried to push the push blocks to the edge, they would not fall straight down, right? Because we didn't create a sheer wall here. They would land on that tile, and that would be an issue, right? You'd have the gap here, and then a tile here. So you need to push these blocks down and do 2 extra stomps here. So it's not like you've ruined the fight, but you have to awkwardly recover it if you don't do that. So when you're doing this, make sure that you do the 5 stomps, and then do the 4 wide stomps on the side of the push blocks. That way you don't need to do a bunch of extra stomps at the end. Last but not least, you need to create the gap. I'm going to do that with a bomb here. You can also do that in no % health, for example, with a landmine. Or if you don't have a landmine and you don't have any bombs, you can actually repeatedly stomp Olmec and farm for an orange frog to spawn and maneuver him over here to detonate the tiles for you. It's pretty difficult. I wouldn't recommend going for that. But if you're in an absolute disaster scenario, that's a way that you can do it. So now, having placed the bomb, we jump across the gap. And now we're just set to do Bookskip, right? We're set to do the Hell Stomp, as it were. Now, I'm not just going to do that. I'm going to explain to you how I time it in a standard, normal old Bookskip scenario. So, the way that I like to time it is I think of it as 2 stomps away, that's when I push. So, if you can imagine for a moment, right? We're going to move Olmec all the way to the right here to keep it normalized. All the way. Thank you, Olmec. Very cool. So, as he moves over, we're going to look for the landing that is 2 motions away from when he would stop. So right here, if he moves 2 additional times, would he do the stomp? Let's find out. 1, 2. You can see that he's not over the pit yet. So that landing over there was not 2 stomps away. That means that the landing he did right here is 2 stomps away. This would be the second stomp right there. So we're going to use that as a timing reference for when to push the blocks down. So once again, we're going to move Olmec over, and I'm going to point out the landing that we're looking out for timing the push blocks, because this is a part that really stresses people out, so I want to make sure it's very clear what I'm talking about. So we have a move over, not it, not it. This is the one motion, second motion would do the stop. Okay, so that's what we're looking for when we're going to push the blocks down. Now we're going to actually perform the stomp. So we're going to once again move Olmec all the way over to the right. All the way, Olmec. Thank you. And we're going to have him follow us, and we're going to go down this time because we need to push the blocks. This is not the one. This is not the one. Right as he hits the ground there, we're going to push the blocks over, maneuver him over. 1, 2, he does the stomp. Now, it might seem like, because I was making such a big deal out of that that's really precise timing. It's not. 3-block Bookskip is very lenient timing-wise. You have several seconds of a window. But I think that it's generally good to just have something to rely on to consistently do your stomp at around the same time every single time. That way you're not panicking at the last second and completely flubbing the fight, right? You did all that setup. Don't mess it up at the last second. That's an example of a 3-block Bookskip. Now, of course, this is something that's very dynamic, right? I'm giving you kind of a best case scenario with this guide, mostly just so that I can very easily showcase all of the things that you want to be looking to do in the process. But sometimes your push blocks are going to be really high and you have to nudge them down a lot. Sometimes they're going to be very low and you're going to have to dig a bunch of extra stomps to be able to reach them. But like the general vibe of Bookskip is always going to be the same. find your hell door, see 3 push blocks that you'd like to use, get them ideally around the 5th layer, right? That's where you want them to settle if you can. If you need to get higher push blocks, that's fine. If you need to get lower push blocks, that's unfortunate, but also fine. And then at the ending, you want to make sure that you're just creating a chute. Don't over stomp. Don't overdo it. Just do as many stomps as you need to ideally make the least amount of spawns happen, which will make you the least likely to get randomly murdered in the process. And then you get to hell, and hopefully you win. That'd be good. Don't lose. Don't do that. There you go, book skip. 3 block book skip. Yay! Yippee!